Hi, everyone. Your readings do a wonderful job walking you through how to build and format a report, but they don't do a great job covering issues of accessibility. A report being accessible means that it can be utilized by a variety of users. Accessible reports specifically must take into account users of various vision types. In Microsoft Word, under the Review tab, you actually have a tool for checking the accessibility of a document. Here, Microsoft has flagged two potential accessibility issues for us: missing alternative text. And what that means is for these two images at the front end of my document, I haven't indicated what a screen reader should read when it comes to those photos. Much accessibility work in reports means making sure the document is ready to be used by a screen reader. In order to insert alt text, you go to the picture format, alt text, and then you either type in what needs to be read when the screen reader comes through the picture, or you mark the picture as decorative so that the screen reader knows to just skip it. Further down in this document, I have a graph. And this graph actually is going to need alternative text. And you can see here that I've added a description that would tell the screen reader after it reads figure 1% retention what is actually shown in figure 1% retention. All images need to have this alternative text or be marked as decorative by alternative text in order to be well read with vision assistive devices like screen readers. Another thing that I'll draw your attention to is the type of font being used. For individuals with reduced vision, it's easier to read sans serif fonts than serif fonts. And what is a sans serif font? For example, here in Times New Roman, do you see these little edges to the end of the T and the N and the R, these bases down at the bottom, the feet? Those are serifs. Text like Calibre that doesn't have a serif, sans serif fonts, are easier to read. Another thing to bring your attention to is the fact that these headers have been built with these styles. Heading styles can be found under the Home tab of Microsoft Word. When you start typing in a document, your text is going to be defaulted to normal. If you don't use a heading style, then a screen reader won't know that what it's come to is a heading, and it will read it as just another word. So for example, under normal font, what we read here is introduction. But with a heading, it will actually give the signpost to the reader that this is level 1 heading, introduction, before reading the content of the following paragraph. Another thing I want to bring your attention to is the way you design hyperlinks. Hyperlink shouldn't say simply link, it shouldn't simply be a linked photo, and it certainly shouldn't be the URL typed out in detail. Instead, to be compatible with a screen reader, a descriptive title should be used and then linked. For a screen reader, this will say, open parentheses, link to dataset, close parentheses. If the entire URL was there, it would read, open parentheses, www, period, and whatever the full URL is, which can be quite lengthy and time-consuming to listen to. So thinking about how these different pieces of the report are going to be read is really important for thinking about their compatibility with the screen reader. But we're not just talking about making your report usable for people who need a screen reader and those that do not. There are other types of vision impairments like color blindness. In using visuals such as this that rely on color, it's important to be sure that individuals who are colorblind could actually detect the difference between coloring. What I highly recommend is that you always make a copy of an image and use one of the many usability testing sites online to see if the image will translate well into grayscale. A popular website that you can use is Colorbliss. This is where you would upload a file and then click through the different types of color blindness to make sure that your file can still be seen with those different filters. And one last thing about accessibility. Very often, You'll be asked to submit documents in business as a PDF. That way, they can't be edited after they've been posted online or in a shared drive. There are two ways to go from a Word document to a PDF. The first is to physically print the file and scan it as a PDF. If you do this, a screen reader isn't going to be able to detect any of the text on the page. So instead, it's important to always go to File, Save As, and save your document as a PDF. So those are your 7 tips for making accessible reports. I hope this helps. Please let me know if you have any questions.